Hey everybody, I'm Sierra.
And I'm Ben.
And welcome back to another episode of The Unsolved Couple, where every week Ben and I recap one of your original gateway drugs into true crime.
Unsolved Mysteries.
All right, did you like my NPR radio voice?
Yes, I did.
Should I talk like that for the rest of the time?
You shouldn't. Don't do that.
Everyone will start to think that you have another host with you, and they'll think that you found a special guest while I got to go diddly-daddly.
No, it's not going to happen. If you're not here,
if something happens to me and I'm sick or unable to do this,
it's not happening.
It's not happening.
No.
What will you tell the people?
I won't tell them anything.
They'll just be left on Tuesday morning empty-handed?
Yeah, they'll get a notification the next time it drops at some point.
Oh, well, I guess, guys, assume the worst if we don't drop an episode.
I've said this many of times. You are the driving force. You are the creativeness behind all of this. You are the one that keeps this thing going.
Keeps it going, keeps the wheels a-turning.
Yeah, you're the skill behind it, the talent.
Yeah. Tell the people what we're doing tomorrow. It'll actually be said and done by the time they hear this. But what are we doing?
Going on vacation.
Vacay.
Yes.
Maybe Ben will be in vacay mode by the time the end of this episode comes around.
I am in vacay mode.
No, you're not. You're not. Normal vacay mode, Ben, is like way more energy.
Yeah, I'm really tired. It's been a long week.
Yeah. No, we're heading to the Magic Kingdom.
Of Disneyland.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
Mm-hmm. We're not Disney adults. We're not going. I mean, I have no problem against Disney adults, but we are taking children with us.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they are all very excited, right?
Yes. So if anyone hears any giggling or interruptions, it's because the kids feel like it's Christmas morning. They are wound tight.
They're ready to go to bed.
Yeah.
Wake up tomorrow and head.
All right. So today we are recapping season 3, episode 14. Any thoughts on this episode?
No. It was fine.
Yeah.
The one story you're going to tell.
I got a lot of questions about that story.
I think everyone does, but I think we all know what the answer is. And mine, I don't know.
Yeah, that one's kind of weird too.
It's interesting.
Y'all will understand here in a minute. Okay, but before we dive in, don't forget to follow the show wherever you're listening. And if you enjoy what Ben and I are doing here, please take a moment to leave us a 5-star rating and review. It helps more people find the podcast and keeps us bringing you more of the mysterious cases that you love.
Did you have any thoughts on this episode?
No. I went down a few rabbit holes with this one, but no, I mean, I think it was a good unsolved mystery episode. This first story that I'm going to tell you guys about here. Yeah, it's there's a lot of questions. And it once again, the way it was told was kind of hard to follow it. So, because there's a handful of talking heads and you're not quite sure what they all have to do with each other. So, in December of 1985, a 28-year-old nurse from Fayetteville, North Carolina, named Debbie Wolfe disappeared without a trace. At first, this seemed like a tragic, straightforward missing persons case. But as days passed, little inconsistencies began to come to the surface and details that hinted at something sinister may have taken place. Debbie's friends and family believe the investigation was deeply flawed and that the truth of what really happened to her was being overlooked. Debbie was known for her kindness and compassion. She loved helping people, And obviously, as a nurse, that this gave her a sense of purpose in fulfilling all of those things. Side note, or I know we're like a couple minutes in here. I originally really wanted to go to school to be a nurse because I think it's an amazing field. I think it's highly undervalued and underappreciated by the medical community, mainly just in pay and conditions of working. But
I think the
I
I
think
think
the
we're
I
getting
think the
better
people
about
that come into the
appreciating.
hospital tend to really value and appreciate their nurses. And I think on the other side of COVID, we really saw how great of an impact that they have on, they are really the face of medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this gave her a sense of purpose and being able to do those things. Her mom was quoted saying that Debbie thought that she could even repay the smallest amount of kindness shown to her in her life, she'd leave her own mark on the world. So that's just the kind of person that she was. So, Christmas Day, 1985. This would have been our first Christmas. We would have been little Christmas babies.
Yes, we would have.
What kind of presents do you think we got?
I don't. Uh, Probably a Fisher Price something.
A Fisher Price something.
Yeah.
Cabbage Patch doll, maybe. You
Oh,
wouldn't have gotten a
no.
Cabbage Patch doll.
No.
Yeah. Those were big in the 80s. That was like the Christmas that like we saw like fighting over the Cabbage Patch doll. It was right around, it might have been the Christmas or two before, but it was like right around that time that there was like an insane rush for those dolls.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either. But Debbie spends the day, the holiday at her mother's house. It was simple, mild, chill kind of day, food, family, just spending time with each other. The next afternoon, on December 26th, she finished a shift at the hospital and left work around 4 p.m., heading home to a small cabin about 7 miles outside of Fayetteville. This is Ben's dream come
Her
true.
Yes, her house and cabin was awesome.
Yeah.
I am here for it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this would be the last time that anyone would see Debbie alive. The following morning, Debbie did not show up for her 8 a.m. shift. She didn't call in and didn't answer the phone calls coming to her from her work, which is completely unlike her. This was not in her nature. She was known to be punctual, and even if she was running late, she would make sure to let somebody know. By the next day, her family is starting to grow worried. Debbie's mother, Jenny, went to check on her with her husband, John, and a family friend named Kevin Gordon tagged along. So we got 3 people going to her cabin. This is now like December 27th. So Christmas Day, family, 26th at work. I guess the 27th she didn't show up. So the 28th, they're at her house.
Yeah.
So Debbie's cabin sat in a secluded wooded area. As they pulled up, immediately things feel off. And they do a reenactment of the mom and her husband and the family friend coming up and kind of walk us through the event. So her car wasn't parked in her usual spot. There was beer cans scattered throughout the yard, and it was an unfamiliar brand that Debbie wasn't known to drink. That might seem small to some people, but I think someone who lives alone and like was likely very methodical in her, like you just, even in our house, you park your car in the same spot, period, end of story. Does that not seem weird to you?
No,
Yeah.
all of this, I mean, same thing. Like,
Yeah. And if
I go,
people drink a certain kind of beer, that's just what they're going to drink.
well, but also, like, if trash is scattered on your yard,
Yeah.
I know when trash is on my yard and it ain't mine.
Well, and it's the thing. It wasn't like, oh, she was known to kind of let her trash kind of overflow and scatter about. And they said that that wasn't common for her. She took a lot of pride in her little cabin. So it was these are red flags immediately starting to kind of pull up. Her dogs normally were fed and cared for, were running loose and had not been fed. Inside the cabin, a lot more strange things happened. Debbie was known to be neat and meticulous, but her kitchen was in disarray, including one of her nursing uniforms was crumpled on the floor, like she had taken it off in a hurry and just kind of thrown it on the ground. Yeah.
Oh,
This part I thought was weird. And it could be weird for no reason other than it was just a weird thing. So the friend Kevin kind of everyone's looking around the house to see if they see anything, which now, like knowing that, that she's missing, I'm like, don't touch anything, right? But I also understand that they're just trying to see if there was a note. Did she fall and get hurt? Was
as of
she
right
sick?
now,
Yeah,
not
they don't
thinking
know.
crime
But like
was committed.
hindsight's 2020. I'm sitting there watching this and I'm like, don't touch anything. But Kevin looks around the bedroom and comes out of her room and says he found Debbie's purse shoved all the way up underneath her bed. Isn't it
Yeah,
kind of weird that he located that?
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he was looking under her bed to see if she was under there. I just thought it was
Maybe.
weird. Like,
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you're gonna look in every crevice for where someone might be.
yeah, I don't know. That to me was just a little sus.
I don't know what to
Yeah.
sus of him
Yeah,
or sus
baby,
of
I
the
don't
whole
know. It's kind of
situation.
like one of those things where it's like, I found this over here.
I can't believe I just used the word sus. I take that back.
It just felt weird to me that a purse was hidden in a very obscure place and that was the first thing that you found. Like you went directly to it, like you knew it was there.
No, 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 no. I I don't. The reenactment might have shown that he went right to it. We have no idea how long these people were in that house and how long they were looking through all that thing. That might have been, he might have been there for 10 minutes and then found it.
It's still very quickly to find a purse shoved in a weird place.
You know what? Looking under a bed. Now, first off, do not look under our bed because it is jam packed full of stuff. But if you looked under a bed and there's only one thing under there, that is going to be the thing that you grab and pull out. What is this? And looking under a bed would be, I guess, if you're looking for someone, I don't know. I'm not ready to start saying,
It was weird to me.
it's weird that a purse, if that is the purse you're using and it's shoved under the bed, that's
Yeah,
weird.
it's weird that it was there and it was weird that he found it. That's just what
I don't think it's weird that he found it.
All right, fair. I think
But
it was weird. Ladies, let me know what you think. All right, so he comes out, says he found her purse shoved underneath her bed, and then the answer machine is blinking, and a message had been left earlier that day. And I wrote down what it said. Hey, Deb, missed you here at work today. You've been out a lot of days, making us worried when we miss another one. End of message. But the message didn't make sense. Debbie hadn't been out of work for a lot of days. In fact, she'd only missed a few hours of work by the time that phone call came in. 15 feet, just 15 feet from the cabin.
I find it weird that he didn't identify himself on the answer
Again,
machine.
that was just what we were told on Unsolved Mystery.
That might be, yeah. right.
He could have identified himself and they just didn't include it in
maybe.
this. So 15 feet from the cabin is a pond. The group of people that were there searched around the area, calling her name. There's no trace of Debbie anywhere. When Jenny, the mom, calls the sheriff office, she was told the tragic lie that said a missing person investigation would not be able to be opened up until 72 hours had passed. And grateful that today we know that that's actually not really the case, but back then it is what it is. And so her family just assumed that they had to wait. It wasn't until December 31st, 5 days after Debbie vanished, that authorities finally conducted a search of the property. Bloodhounds are brought in to pick up scent, but officers
It's 5 days. The scent
yeah,
is
there's nothing
gone.
there. Officers walked around the pond, didn't find anything. And so Jenny, the mom, asked if they had planned to use a boat and to dredge the pond and or do any water searches. And he said it was too late in the day and that they would return tomorrow.
Did they?
Nope. Tomorrow never came. What's that song?
I don't know.
I think it's a country song, but no, they literally just do no call, no show this woman. That's nuts.
Yeah, there's a lot of, at least according to how Unsolved Mysteries and the detective
Yeah.
gets interviewed. So
Yeah.
the sheriff's office does have a representative in this, and it doesn't look good.
No, it does not.
Not at all.
No. So New Year's Day rolls around. Debbie's been missing now for 6 days. Obviously frustrated by the lack of progress, Kevin, the friend, and another friend. So this is what's funny. His name's Kevin Gordon, and the other friend's name, this is why I'm referring to him mostly by his first name, because his other friend is named Gordon Childress. So we've got Kevin Gordon and Gordon Childress. So I'm just going to call them Kevin and Gordon. So Kevin and Gordon returned to the pond.
Kevin Gordon
Returned to the pond themselves, and both men had experience. They don't tell us what kind of experience exactly, but they did have experience with rescue work as well as dive rescue experience. They had diver's gear and everything.
Yeah.
I would have loved to know what they did or how they got this. Not that it is
Most people
pertinent at
don't
all,
have that stuff.
but it's not a common thing.
No, that's not common. So clearly, yeah, I mean, clearly they have some experience.
Yeah.
And
So they actually called the police department or the sheriff's department and asked permission. Hey, can we do this? And even according to everyone involved on Unsolved Mysteries, they're given the green light to go ahead. Which is wild to me because how does the chain of evidence then happen?
I just think it appears that the sheriff's office was not really,
Interested?
yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you're talking about chain man, like
They weren't even thinking that. I was expecting them to have any
But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, I mean, if a civilian finds something, the police just come out and they take custody of it. Like that's whatever. So
Yeah, we're going to find later, you guys, that it would have actually been really helpful to have like a legitimate record keeping of things here. So Gordon enters the water and begins to meticulously search. Within minutes, he noticed something strange. He saw 2 sets of footprints and drag marks in the mud. So this pond is like mucky and very sludgy at the bottom. As he dives deeper in, he suddenly hits something solid. His mask actually flooded with water, so he went up, cleared his mask out, and went back down and realized what he had found. He had found what appeared to be a human remains submerged partially inside of a rusty 55-gallon drum. They immediately left the pond and called the sheriff's department. The body was identified as Debbie Wolf.
terrible.
Yeah. And autopsies found no drug, no alcohol in her system, and there was no clear signs of injury or foul play. The coroner ruled her death as drowning, but couldn't determine exactly when she had died. To Debbie's family and friends, that explanation just did not make sense. Kevin later said that Debbie didn't look like a typical drowning victim. Again, I don't know what his experience was with water rescues and recovery, but he seemed to have the equipment and the knowledge. So he has some expertise in this. And I didn't fact check this because I don't need this on my Google search history, but according to him, her eyes and mouth were closed and her body was relaxed, which is not normal of someone who has drowned, according to him.
Okay.
Her clothes were oddly clean. There was no trace of silt or mud that covered the bottom of the pond, wasn't like on her body. And then there was the barrel. Kevin remembered clearly that Debbie's body had been inside it, but police later denied any existence of a barrel. When divers returned the next day to retrieve it, again, why they didn't retrieve it that day, I don't know. We are not given that information. I don't think the sheriff's department knows. However, they come back the next day to retrieve the barrel and it was gone. All that remained was an indentation in the mud where it had been sitting. Months later, Jenny discovered something else that didn't make any sense. The clothes found on Debbie's body did not appear to be hers or clothes that she recognized. The pants were too big, the field jacket wasn't one that she recognized as her daughter owning, and the shoes were men's, 3 sizes too big for her feet. Even her bra was several sizes too large.
Yeah, this is weird. So we're gonna get the investigator, the sheriff, whatever, and he says that's not true. That the clothes were hers.
And we're gonna. So I guess
Now,
I can say
obviously-
that now. We have a handful of narrators in this. We've got the family, the Wolf family, and her friends, and then we've got the sheriff. And unfortunately, because the lack
Was it the
of
sheriff?
investigation, I thought so. Was it
Yeah.
police or sheriff?
I don't know. I didn't take
Yeah.
notes. I just didn't know if it was like just the investigator or if it actually was the sheriff himself.
Yeah, I should probably go back and check. I might have it written down somewhere here later on in my notes. But my concern is that due to the lack of any sort of investigation at all, we are left with 2 stories and trying to understand which one of these is, I don't want to say not true because I don't think that the Wolf family would just lie, but they are also in the middle of grief and eyewitnesses, and trying to remember things in the midst of trauma is not always perfect.
Yeah.
But that's again when you rely on evidence and notes and memos and photographs, all things which would have been available if an investigation had been done.
Yeah.
So instead, we are left with the story as being told by the Wolf family, which as of now seems to be the most reliable narrator because they were the only ones doing anything.
And they were the ones there.
And the sheriff is just saying, but that's just not true. I have nothing to back it up with, but that just wasn't the case, or that just didn't happen, or that wasn't like. But he has also nothing to.
But he's not bringing forth
anything.
And I have a problem when he tells us that all this stuff is not true. That when your credibility is in question already, because one, you didn't even investigate, you didn't even start till
You didn't
5
even act
days
like you
later.
cared.
Yes, you didn't even look for her. Here's a pond right by her house, and you couldn't even be bothered to look in that.
You told the family you were coming back the next day to look in the pond and never even showed up.
When you like just half, the word I would use normally, this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're trying to say, well, no, this ain't true. And no, this ain't true.
You have no credibility.
You've kind of already brought your credibility down by one. You said 72 hours and then you waited 5 days.
Yeah.
And then you don't even look, like I said, I've already said, like, you didn't even look at the pond right next to the house. Like,
no.
Where was the investigation? So when you then tell us that all this stuff, about the investigation. I'm like,
Yeah,
how much did you actually put into
yeah,
it?
your word doesn't really hold a lot of weight at
Yeah.
this point.
And I've got a few more. I'll wait till you're
Yeah.
done telling the
Okay.
story, but
So, at this point, Jenny is convinced that her daughter's been murdered, and rightfully so.
I think she has a good.
She has a good suspicion about, like,
Yeah.
trust your gut, go with it, because you've got nothing. This other story makes no
I
sense.
think you're entitled to ask that
Yeah.
question at this point.
So this is kind of where we find out a few things that Debbie had going on in her life. So at the hospital where Debbie worked, she had regularly began supervising the volunteers. One volunteer in particular had made Debbie uncomfortable. Debbie did tell her friends that he had a history of psychiatric issues and had begun repeatedly asking her out, even though she kept rejecting him. Somehow, he obtained her phone number, called her multiple times. She asked him not to call. The calls continued. And then one night he told her, I know where you live. As a female,
That's
that's terrifying.
so yeah, that's
Especially when you live in a
unnerving.
cabin out in the woods. We've all seen that scary movie, right? Like, this is like, that's terrifying. And so she had some credible things going on, that there was things making her uncomfortable. When Debbie's body was found, the man was investigated, and I use that term very loosely, but provided a simple alibi, refused to take a polygraph test. I don't put any weight to polygraph, so that doesn't really matter. I would refuse to take one too. But then soon after talking to the police, he left the state and cut off like communication.
That's suspicious.
How many times have we talked to a story or shared a story with you guys where that's been the case and they immediately leave? Like, that should be a red flag more than refusing to take a polygraph.
Yeah, I don't put any weight in the refusing of
Yeah.
polygraph.
So there was also a second volunteer, another man who had also sought a romantic relationship with Debbie that she had no interest in. Jenny Edwards later became convinced that this was the man who had left the strange message on Debbie's answering machine, claiming that she had missed multiple days of work. Again, that is the story from the mother.
Yeah.
Take that with what you want. Both men are questioned. They found nothing to indicate any reason to question them further, and they're both removed from any sort of further investigation. Debbie's mother still believes that her daughter was likely held against her will, possibly even by one of these two men, and might have even been killed a few days later. She thinks that someone returned to the pond, removing the barrel to make her death look like an accident. More than anything, she hopes that someone out there knows what really happened to her daughter and might come forward and share the information. And that's kind of where Unsolved Mysteries leaves us.
So there was a few things about the barrel.
Yeah, I've got that in my update notes.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to talk about the barrel now?
Well, because the sheriff said something of why he thought the barrel wasn't actually a barrel, and then the mom talks about how
She had a burn barrel.
your mom says that she had a burn barrel on her property and sat next to a tree, and like there was dead grass underneath it, and it was gone.
It was gone.
And the sheriff gets on and says, it wasn't. She wasn't buried. She wasn't put in the pond in a barrel. It was just her jacket.
Yeah, so I actually have some other stuff in my notes that I found in my
sorry.
side research that I can kind
Sorry, I'm
of.
jumping ahead on you.
No, you're
Go ahead.
totally fine.
All right, so that's what Unsolved Mysteries leaves us. Give us our
Okay.
update.
All right. First off, here's my disclosure. This story is extremely hard to tell because of a couple of things. One, local police refused to investigate the scene, allowing people to come and go in and out of that area for multiple days before they even started anything. So we don't have documentation on any sort of like day of how the condition of the house necessarily looked. Number two, because her death was ruled accidental, little to no investigation was done. No preservation of evidence was done. So in turn, we have a story told mainly by her immediate family, who as of today have unfortunately all passed away. And the investigators who did not have the capability to do like any, or not even the capability, had no desire to do the things that police should have normally done in this situation. So, with that disclosure out there, I did find out a few things per my side research. No tracks, drag marks, or so on and so forth were ever found or photographed per the police statements. We have no evidence of that. Just the family statements and then the police saying that there was
And the
nothing there.
divers.
Yeah.
It's a he said, she said.
Hmm. He said that there was 2 sets of tracks. However, later it was noted that he did not specify whether it was 2 sets in and out or 1 set in, 1 set out. Okay. A diver from the sheriff's department, Don Smith, confirmed that he did see the rusty drum barrel in the water. He made no comment on tracks in his report. Also, so the barrel was spotted by at least one member of the sheriff's department. Said in a few reports that I found. Now, whether this was a note or a memo or just in an interview, I am not sure. But that he also saw the barrel. So we have 2 divers who have claimed to seen the barrel, and multiple people reporting that there was a burn barrel on the property that was missing and never seen again.
Yeah, but then when they come back, they just say, oh, she wasn't actually in a barrel.
Yes, and we don't
They
know.
just say, oh, no, we must have made a mistake.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
I agree.
Yeah. All right. Also, I read in my research, and again, I could only find this in like 1 or 2 sources, so take this as you will. Debbie was rumored to have been at a party on the night of December 26th. That was not stated in Unsolved Mysteries. It was believed that she went straight from the hospital to home. However, she possibly was at a party with a man. This was a party of friends and colleagues all around her ages. She was also to have rumored to have a steady boyfriend at the time. Again, I couldn't find anything on if they were in a very serious committed relationship or if he was questioned by police or anything at all like that. The other things I did find is that her body was found in about 5.5 feet deep of water. She could have stood up. But the important point is that it was 30 feet from the bank of the pond to where her body was found. 30 feet is a lot of feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. The water at the edge of the pond is only about an inch deep because the theory of the police is that she was outside playing with her dogs and somehow fell into the water and drowned.
That was their theory, is that she tripped and fell in and then drowned.
Okay. So at the edge of the pond where she would have been with her dogs, the water was about an inch deep. The bottom had a gentle slope into the pond and was only knee deep until past 5 feet of the edge. So she would have had to wander out past 5 feet from the edge of the pond before it would have even gone above her knees. And the barrel that was known to be in her yard was never found. At the end of the day, sadly, the way this story played out, it is likely that we will never know. There's nothing left to test. There's no one alive anymore to fight for her case. And technically, the case has been closed because it was ruled a drowning. I also noted that she was found with like a teaspoon of water in her esophagus, like very little water, no pond water in her stomach, no silt, no mud in her nose, nothing.
That's what I thought I'd heard.
And that's it. That is the tragic, mysterious death of Debbie Wolf.
Yeah, so I mean, my issues, because the sheriff comes on and says that it was an accident,
Yeah.
and you know, the family and the diver say there was a barrel, but there wasn't actually a barrel. It was just her jacket, her puffy jacket that was probably so because and I'm like, okay, here's my question. They found the body.
Mm-hmm.
You guys came out and retrieved the body.
Yeah.
So when you retrieve it, you say if there was no barrel,
Why would you say we'll come?
why would you say I'm coming back tomorrow to get it?
Exactly.
And when someone drowns on the edge of water,
Mm-hmm.
they don't go out into the middle,
No.
30 feet away, and then sink to the bottom.
No, they do not.
They sit at the edge,
Mm-hmm.
floating.
I'm not saying that you can't drown in an inch of water. You can.
That's not what I'm saying.
Again, but there was no drugs and alcohol found in her system.
Yeah, I mean everything that the police said just didn't make sense, and it was just made it very clear that
They botched this, and that's me being nice about it.
What's your thoughts?
Do your job. Here's the thing. I can't even tell you what I think. I mean, I honestly think that there is a huge evidence that this girl met some ill-willed fate, whether it was a stalker or a boyfriend or a gentleman at the party, a hitchhiker. I don't know. We have no idea. But I can tell you, with the beer cans and the disarray of the house and the way she was found in the missing barrel and all of these things, that it is likely that her life was cut short by some means other than tripping while out playing with her dogs.
But there's enough here that it should have been highly investigated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it won't be, there's nothing to test. There's no case to open. There's nothing. The police washed their hand of this. So my heart breaks for this family. They've all since, passed away. And I guess at the end of the day, we can hope that they found peace in the next stage. All right. On that sad note, Benjamin, would you like to tell us a story?
I guess so. It's interesting.
It is. I don't know how I feel about this one either.
And this one also, if you really wanted to dig, you could go into a lot of rabbit holes.
Oh, I'm sure you can.
I didn't go down the rabbit holes.
And I will say, the disclaimer is that when sometimes things happen outside of the continental US, it's hard to find sources to bolster your story too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I got a lot of notes. I'm going to try to
wrap this up.
I'm going to try to blow through this. All right. September 23rd, 1963, Waterbury, Connecticut. We get told about a man, 28 years old, Geoffrey Sullivan, who was formerly in the military, in the Air Force, and now he's a private pilot, commercial pilot. And he's going off. He's telling his wife goodbye. He gives her his St. Christopher necklace. And he tells her, this is it. This is it. I'm not doing any more missions. This is my last one. Because he was doing covert missions.
Covert or illegal?
Covert.
Okay.
Right?
Is this like the helicopter pilot that lives at the border somewhere? I
don't know.
Okay.
So, he tells his wife, I'm going to be back in 5 days. Well,
never tell people this is the last time I'm doing something nefarious, risky, or dangerous, because that is a guaranteed way. It's like in the Scream movie. Don't say, I'll be right back, because you ain't coming back.
Yeah. So, fortunately, it was the last time his family saw him. We get introduced to Sherry Sullivan. She is the daughter of Geoffrey Sullivan. And she tells us, listen, they never saw their dad again. She never saw her dad again. She was, I think, 7 at the time when he disappeared. And he disappeared after he left, he disappeared 4 days later over the Caribbean. And so Sherry is a private investigator now. She's decided, I'm looking into the disappearance of my dad. I need to know what happened to him.
Yeah.
So here's our story. We get told about Geoffrey. He joined the military when he was 18 years old. He earned his wings in 1957. 2 years later, he was discharged from the military and he became a commercial pilot. and he started doing, I don't know, flying for a bunch of different people. We don't know. But then Robert Stack comes in and he tells us about what, Sierra?
The Cuban Missile Crisis.
Cuba.
I
All
really
right.
want to go to Cuba someday,
Nope.
but
All right. So,
it's beautiful.
right as Jeffrey's getting out of the military, Castro takes over. And what comes of Cuba?
Communism.
Communism. We don't like that.
I wouldn't even say it's communism.
It's
It is a totality of like dictatorship. Like it's more extreme to me than communism was. Remember that story I told you about the guy in South Africa that was like this tyrant ruler? Remember?
that is communism. It's communism is ruled by tyrants.
I know, but like an extreme version of communism.
There's not any good version of communism.
I understand that there is no good version of communism. Do you not remember the story I told about the leader in South Africa with the people and the
I
thing?
know.
They called him something else. Like it was communism and like a secondary title that he had. I cannot remember what it was. Anyways, it's like warlord crazy people. Like,
That's the people that want communism.
I understand that. But do you think there is a difference between Kim Jong Un communism and China communism?
I don't understand the question.
The way China is ran versus, right? China is communist nation.
Obviously, it's different.
So that's what I'm saying.
But
But you look at North Korea.
But also you look at what China does to the Uyghurs.
Yeah.
I'm probably saying that wrong, but they literally put them in camps,
Yeah.
re-education camps. Like they literally.
I am not saying that there's no version of communism that's like, oh, this is casual communism and I'm here for it.
But you could make the argument. Okay, we shouldn't even get into this. I'm actually not.
I'm just saying there is a various degrees, and Cuba has one of the very extreme versions of communism.
Okay.
You disagree with me?
Well, no, I'm not disagreeing. I thought Cuba there wasn't great. I mean, clearly.
No, we allowed people to. I mean, people were fleeing.
I know a guy that literally, as a child, like had to. He's a good guy. I work with him, and he literally, his family almost died trying to cross.
And that's what I'm saying is when you look at the way we don't have people trying to do that from China. Correct? They're not trying to get here to escape their rule, are they? I'm asking you a genuine, like, I don't know. Maybe that's my ignorance.
I maybe not all of them. I think there are some up in some areas there that are
not happy.
That would probably do a lot to get out.
Yeah.
So
I'm not saying that any form of I am not a pro-communist. Let me get that on the record right now. I just think there's a handful of communist leaders who have risen to the top as far as like absolutely brutal next level. And Fidel Castro is one of those people.
Yeah. So when Castro gets to power, the U.S. is they're concerned.
Well, they're real close.
They're real close.
They're real close.
So obviously we get told about just the government starts running operations because obviously we get a lot of exiles from Cuba here to the United States. They're upset that their government had fallen and Castro's in power, so they want to overthrow Castro. And so the government was helping fund and helping organize operations to do that. And one of the men behind these things was 37-year-old Alex Rourke. He was a journalist and a photographer, they say. I'll get into that later. But
That's what he claims he was.
Yeah, that's what he claims he
On
was.
paper, that's
Yeah.
what he was. Yeah.
But so he was behind a lot of operations to help try to overthrow Castro.
Okay.
And in 1961, uh, Geoffrey May meet oh golly it meets Alex Rourke. And Alex Rourke hires him to help fly missions. What exactly he does, we're never told.
And I don't think we're ever going
No.
to get that information.
So, obviously, 1961, the Bay of Pigs happens. That was a disaster.
JFK.
What's that?
Was it JFK?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I do remember 7th grade history. Thank
Yeah.
you, whoever my 7th grade history teacher was, in your face.
Then October 1962, Cuban Missile Crisis.
Also, big problems. Things
That
were.
This is the Cold War for you.
I understand. That was, yeah, crazy stuff.
So, after the Cuban Missile Crisis and the failure of the Bay of Pigs, the government's like, all right, maybe we should be a little bit more under the radar of what we're doing. So they start like probably the weird that again, they don't explain this. They just make these broad statements, and you know how I feel about broad statements. The government's like, listen, individuals that are helping do this, they need to stop. And they put out something.
Wink, wink.
Yeah. They put out a warning in the newspaper to 6 individuals to, hey, stop doing what
They
you're doing.
put people out in the newspaper?
Yeah. And it was one of the people on there was Alex Rourke.
Can you imagine being the wife reading the like Sunday
I
morning
think
Post?
it was the newspaper. They put it out clearly
You've
to the point
got
where everyone knows it.
your frosted flakes and your hot coffee, and your hair's all pinned up still that you slept in so beautifully, and you pull open your morning post and you see your husband's name in the newspaper warning him
I
to
think you
stop doing
probably-
what he is doing.
I think you probably know what your husband's doing at this
I
point.
don't think so.
You don't think that him going missing for days and weeks on end to Cuba and to different places?
No, I just watched this documentary called like something upstairs, and this guy worked in the drug world, and his family had no flipping clue what he was doing. I think if you're doing dangerous things, especially if you care about your family, potentially their safety, the little that they know, the better. Maybe she knew he was flying and doing certain things, but the ins and outs, absolutely not. I doubt she had any clue how deep he
But
was.
that's not the pilot.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Alex Rourke. The pilot is being hired by Alex Rourke.
Yeah.
Alex Rourke is the one getting called.
I think the pilot was even telling his wife, hey, I'm working with these insanely people that are doing crazy dangerous things.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
All right. I will stop interrupting.
No, you're good. Ask away. But I will say, I don't know. I don't have a problem using that term. I don't know. So, government warns these individuals September 23rd. It was literally like 6 days later after that came out, they decide to fly this mission. September 23rd, 1963. Here's our timeline. He leaves Connecticut. He lands in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Okay. The next day, he meets with Alex Rourke and 2 other men, one of them being Frank Sturgis. And Frank Sturgis he becomes pretty well known later on.
Okay.
Because he, of course, Unsolved Mysteries doesn't say this. I love how they do this. They literally just say, Frank Sturgis becomes well known because of the Watergate scandal. Okay, you know why he was famous in the Watergate scandal? Because he was one of the 5 individuals that broke into the Watergate and was arrested for it and did time for it.
Oh, so he was like heavily involved.
Yeah.
And not on the good side.
No. Then this is the best part. And this one actually really ticked me off.
Okay.
This guy comes on, a guy
Mhm.
comes on to Unsolved Mysteries. And let's make this very clear. If you haven't watched Unsolved Mysteries, if you're like me and you wouldn't watch it, right? You're just listening to
If
this.
you weren't married to Sierra, where your wife was forcing you to watch,
Not forcing, but we have decided to do this together. This, let me say, every person that comes on to Unsolved Mysteries, when they first come on and they put
their lower
name-
third is what it's called. That's what it's called.
Okay.
Your lower third.
I didn't know that.
Love dropping documentary knowledge into your beautiful little brain.
That's because I don't watch documentaries.
I know you don't. It's called your lower third, and mine would say Sierra Turner, podcaster, awesome
Exactly.
wife.
It would tells every person on Unsolved Mysteries up to this point. It drops their name and who they are, like how they are associated with this, right? Private
I'm going to
investigator.
assume most people listening to this have seen a documentary or two.
This guy rolls up. Nothing. And I get kind of pissed about it because he's coming on and making statements of facts.
Okay.
And I say, who the heck are you?
So
to
what's your
say-
expertise to say these things?
Well, it's Sturgis himself.
Oh.
But why they couldn't tell us that, I don't know. And then you don't even want to tell us what the guy actually did. He's kind of a douche.
Well, yeah, he was part of the Watergate scandal, which makes you not a good guy.
So it was him himself, but Unsolved Mysteries doesn't want to tell us that. So he tells us that Rourke had bought a B-25 bomber and he had it in Nicaragua, and they were going to meet with the general, and they wanted them to outfit the B-25 to run bomb raids in Cuba.
As private citizens?
We're going to get into that.
Okay.
Because that's the other question.
So
Who is this guy?
Buying B-52 bombers.
No, not B-52, B-25.
Oh, excuse
If I said B-52, I apologize. B-25.
I don't know if you said that. Here's the thing. My knowledge of
Well, the B-25
airplanes is zero.
B-52 is a massive bomber.
Here's
B-25
anyone buying a bomber of any sort.
The B-25 was a bomber for World War II.
Okay.
And if you saw it today, it's, I think, I could be wrong. I think it's a 4-propeller one.
That massive plane?
Just a 4-propeller one.
Okay.
So, anyways, supposedly they have one. This is all according to Sturgis. Okay. So Sturgis convinced Rourke he needed to go to Nicaragua first, meet with the officials, and get this all squared away before they start, I guess, bombing Cuba. I don't know. Your questions are my questions.
Crazy banana.
I agree. So they rent a plane and they're going to take off the next day. So Rourke's wife drives him to the airport. And on the way, they pick up another guy. And she tells a story. She's not interviewed. We're just hearing what she told. That he was a Hispanic individual with broken English. That's all we're told.
Okay.
So they get to the airport, and who do they meet there? Geoffrey Sullivan, right? They get in their plane, and at 8 a.m., they take off, a twin-engine plane. And for some reason...
So a small plane.
Small.
Yes.
Okay. For some reason, Sturgis and the other dude that they met with the day before, they were supposed to come, but Sturgis and his companion mysteriously don't go on this.
They were supposed to, but then changed their mind at the last
Clearly,
minute.
I don't know. Sturgis doesn't answer that question.
Trust Sturgis.
You shouldn't.
He is an unreliable narrator.
So 8 a.m., take off from Fort Lauderdale. And like I told you, Geoffrey, Alex, and this stranger are on the plane. Sturgis and his companion, who they'd met with the day prior, gone. whatever. So this is now from
Sturgis set up the Nicaragua,
yeah.
and that's his plane, isn't it? Or his bomber.
No,
He's the
Rourke,
owner of it.
Rourke bought the B-25.
Rourke owns it. Okay, but
According to Sturgis,
but Sturgis set up the connection in Nicaragua.
supposedly, yes.
And I'm definitely not saying Nicaragua. Nope. That's all right. We're gonna move on.
Yeah. All right. So the FAA has a report. This is their report. They take off at 8 a.m. And for some reason, they returned to Fort Lauderdale 3 times. And on the 3rd time, they try to like land, and the tower tells them, "Hey, man, your landing gear's not even down. So don't." So they don't land.
I know, but this makes no sense. This is an expert flyer or an expert pilot.
Yes, I know. None of this makes sense. They take off. They don't return to Fort Lauderdale. 5 hours later, they land at North Perry Airport, which is only 30 miles away from Fort Lauderdale.
What are they doing?
So they have no idea where they were for those 5 hours and what happened those 5 hours. They go to
submit a flight plan.
This is all from the FAA report,
Okay.
so I'm gonna guess. But here's the thing: once you get,
I'm just trying to make sense of this because even when I was watching this, I'm like, how did I? Yeah. Anyways,
I will say I have very little knowledge, but I have flown in a helicopter quite a bit. And once you get out of the airspace, you're just out of the airspace.
Okay. Here's the thing. I don't know that.
Before you come into their airspace, you have to call them and tell them, "Hey, we're coming into your airspace. We're coming in at this." And then they give you directions. This is just me from my very little knowledge. I have no idea about commercial planes.
Yeah, this is just you
planes,
being in a helicopter. Yeah.
That all that stuff could be totally different. So I could be whatever I know, which is very little, might not even relate. So I don't know. I mean, technically they do because I'm going to talk about it later. So, all right, I lost my place here. 5 hours later, they land 30 miles away. They go to refuel. And the guy that refuels them supposedly says he barely puts in any fuel. So what were they doing for 5 hours? And clearly they weren't flying for 5 hours. So where did they land? We don't know.
We have no idea.
1:30 they depart North Ferry, and they listed. So this is where they listed there. Somewhere in Honduras is there. I can try to say the name, but I'm going to botch it.
I think you should try because I've said a lot of names on this podcast and I've botched every one of them.
No, I don't need to. Honduras. 3:43. They then radio the Miami Tower, which again, you should be out of. This is now over 2 hours, so you should be on
your way to Honduras by now.
When you should be out of Miami's airspace.
If I had been in a helicopter or in an airplane for now, several hours,
all day,
had barely made it like 100 miles, I would have lost my mind by now.
So they revise their flight plan and say they're going to Tucumán, Panama.
Okay.
And the tower advises
they're going down to Panama now?
The tower advises them, "Hey, listen, that actually, according to the aircraft you're flying, that's 2 hours past what your aircraft can actually
That's why
go."
I brought up. It's a small airplane. Yeah. It is not meant for long-term travel.
So he tries to advise it again and puts a place further, and they tell him the same thing.
Doesn't this come off as erratic behavior?
I don't know. But you have multiple people look, no one's looking at the totality of this whole thing.
Yeah. And the unreliable narrator who helped with Watergate is the person trying to act as if he's trying to. Anyway, yeah, I'm annoyed.
It gets better.
I know.
7 hours pass. No one has any idea where these people were, what they're doing. But guess what? At 10:22 p.m., they radio the Miami Tower again and say, "Hey, we're now going to Belize." And I know. So they supposedly refueled in Cozumel, Mexico. Probably said that wrong too.
Cozumel?
Sure. And
Tuesday?
that was their last sighting. They refueled there. Supposedly they were seen there. They take off. No one ever sees them again. So they just are assumed that they're lost at sea. Supposedly a search was done. Nothing was ever found. All right. So we get back to Sherry, the daughter. She files a Freedom of Information Act in the 1980s. She now is starting to investigate what happened to my dad. He disappeared. Clearly, he was doing some weird stuff. She files this Freedom of Information Act. She gets like 5,000 pages from the FBI, CIA, a bunch of different government agencies. Most of the pages are redacted.
Dude, they showed in the reenactment, it's 98% just like Sharpie blacked out, blacked out,
Yeah,
blacked
a
out.
lot
blacked
of
out.
it is redacted. And then she even says that reading through it, it leads her to believe that there's at least like 400 more pages that she never even got.
Whoa.
So, but they can't find anything. So she does say in the pages, she finds a name called Floyd Park, somehow associated with her dad.
Mm-hmm.
She supposedly finds him, contacts him,
Mm-hmm.
and he tells her that he saw her dad 2 days after supposedly he disappeared in Belize. But come to find out, Park won't give any details. She has no idea how he's connected to her dad. And then he disappears off the face of the map. No one can ever find this guy.
Every time we get these
So,
stories,
yeah, take
someone
that for what it.
supposedly saw this person but wants nothing. Yeah, this makes no sense. Yeah.
So Sherry believes that her dad could have possibly been a prisoner in Cuba. Supposedly Castro knew about her dad and Rourke and had a bounty out for him. And
Can you imagine? That's terrible.
so she meets a man, author, news guy, like a newspaper guy, Marty Casey. And he tells a story that he met a guy, a Cuban exile, and the guy was like, "Hey man, do you know Sullivan?" And he's like, "What? Who?" And supposedly he says that he was in prison
Mhm.
several years prior with
Yeah.
Geoffrey Sullivan.
It's
in
another sighting in Cuba. Yeah.
Cuba, supposedly.
Yeah.
Okay, take that for what it is. She also finds a name by the name of Enrique Molina Garcia in the documents,
Mhm.
who is supposedly a double agent for Cuba.
Double agent for Cuba means
We thought he was an agent, but then he was an agent for Cuba.
got it. So he's
So-
anti-America, pro-Cuba,
But coming to us saying he was
but
pro-America
pretending to wave the American flag. Hey,
and pro-America, anti-Cuba.
Cuba, but that was just a pretensies.
Yeah. So
Okay.
she believes that this Enrique was the third man in the plane, lured them to go to Cuba, where they were then captured.
So here's my question, and you might find this in your updates. Is it possible that the man flying the plane was acting erratic in his flight plan because he was actually in danger?
I have no idea.
Okay. It was just a thought to me, like that. It's a cry for help. Trying to land without your landing gear, like, is crazy.
I don't know. I got nothing. I have no
Okay.
answers for why he was doing what he was doing. All right, so that's where Unsolved Mysteries leaves us.
Okay. Any updates at all?
All right. Update.
I
No.
cannot imagine with
No.
redacted CIA files that anything's going to be
So
answered.
his daughter, at least up to like 2023, is still fighting for answers.
That breaks my heart.
So here's the only thing. These aren't great updates. 2002, the Department of Veteran Affairs did finally list her dad as MIA.
Okay, that's something.
They said, listen, we think she sued the Cuban government in 2009
How did that work out
for
for her?
wrongful death. She was supposedly in a court in Maine awarded $21 million, but
I cannot imagine she's ever going to see a penny of that.
Yeah, supposedly a federal court dismissed it in like 2017. It's like, yeah, you're never gonna
You're
get
never going to get that.
that. You
Yeah.
never, and she never has.
But
So
when you sue someone for wrongful death and things like that, then at least stuff can be entered into the court record, which is what I'm going to guess she was wanting to do.
yeah, so I did look into Rourke a little bit.
Okay.
There's very strong that he was a CIA operative. He worked for the CIA. He was running operations for the CIA.
That makes more sense to me. Yeah.
I also looked into Sturgis because I was
alive.
No, he's dead.
Okay.
He died in like 93.
Oh, he's been gone for a long time.
Yeah. He was a CIA operative too.
Seriously?
Before all of this. Yeah. So here's the thing. I'll be honest. I'm a little ignorant on the war. I know the general of what happened in Watergate, but the details I don't. So I kind of just read up on him very briefly. Because I was curious, who was he? Him and 5 other dudes.
I mean, yeah.
And why were they like, how did the president recruit him to go break in there? Well, he was a former, and I say that with air quotes, former CIA operative. Like, no, you were still a CIA operative.
Yeah, 100%.
So he was a CIA operative too. And yeah, but as of right now,
when it comes to the CIA, it's so, you know what it reminds me of? You know what the CIA reminds me of? That show on Apple where people go into the elevator and bing, their brain goes away. What's that show called?
Severance?
Yes. I think that is what I think of the CIA. I think of Severance mixed with Stranger Things.
Listen,
and
I think the people that work for the CIA, they do great things. Like, I think they're trying
a lot
to
of
do.
crimes and justify it, saying that they're doing it for the benefit of X, Y, or Z. The
think
boys on the track, like all of that stuff. I think the CIA is basically a federal funded criminal organization that gets away with whatever they want. Now, maybe
I disagree.
a lot of things can be good come out of that, but I think a lot of tragedy happens in the intermedium.
I think what they try to do and what they have done is they definitely think they're trying to. As we could have a huge debate, and I don't think you or I
don't trust the CIA.
Minds are going to get them. But I will say, the stories that have come out about CIA in the 60s, 70s, and 80s is wild.
Yeah.
But I do think there's a lot of stories that never come out and what they did.
I think the things that we hear about the CIA is scratching the surface on the insanity of what happens under the umbrella of the CIA.
So, anyways,
but I just don't trust the government in general. So,
at the end of the day, there is literally not been any other details that have come out. No one's ever found their bodies, their plane, anything like that.
And that poor daughter.
All the questions we had that she had back in the 80s, it appears that all those questions are still. She did say, I could not find her source. She said that there was reliable sourcing that her dad was alive as late as 91.
Being held captive in Cuba?
Yes.
Okay.
But I could not find what that was, that she believed that was true.
Okay.
So take that for what it is. That's all I got.
Okay. All right. Well, before I get into our third story, just a friendly reminder that we have a lot of fun over on our social medias. And if you would like to join in on the fun, you can find us on TikTok and Instagram, Unsolved Couple Pod. If you ever have any questions or information, whatever, or you just want to chat with us, you can email us at unsolvedcouplepod@gmail.com. You can DM us on any of our social medias. And we do have a social media group on Facebook called Unsolved Couple Pod discussion group on Facebook that you may get on and chitty chat about the cases that we are covering. Feel free to also post any information you have on cases, anything you would like us to potentially cover in the future, whatever. We love to hear and see you guys and connect with you guys as much as possible. And while it is me mostly running our social media, Ben is up to date on everything too. I show him all of our DMs and posts and yada, yada, yada. Okay. So I have a missing persons case, and I'm going to give you an old time disclosure. This is from the early 1900s. So when I tried to do side research on this,
Good luck.
it was very difficult. So here we go.
This is when it's just a story.
It literally,
That's all
I'm
it
just
is.
going to share this story with you because even where it connects the dots, we're going to find out factually doesn't even add up.
It's just a story.
It's just a story.
It's a lady telling a story of her granddad.
Yeah. So in the early 1900s in Brookfield, Wisconsin, a woman named Corianda Olson said goodbye to her 4 children.
Corianda?
C-O-N, Condrianda, Radina.
I just think it's an interesting.
I think it's a beautiful name. Conrianda.
I'm sure you said it right. I think it's interesting.
I mean, at least it's not like Gladys or what's another old timey name?
Clarence. I'm just kidding. That's my grandpa's name, and I love that name.
Yeah. But said goodbye to her 4 children and boarded a train to Milwaukee. She told them that she had a doctor's appointment and would be home the next day. I cannot imagine living in a world where you have to board a train to go to a doctor's appointment.
I don't think she was coming back.
Well, that's going to be the question, right? Her youngest daughter was promised a new doll when she returned. Her oldest son, Edwin, was 14, and she asked him, "Are you sure you don't want to come with me?" And he said no, but that would be the last time her family would ever see her. For the rest of his life, Edwin was haunted by the decision. This poor boy.
Yeah.
If this woman does what I think she did, shame on her for putting this on this man. This boy was 14 at the time. And he lived his entire life haunted by the decision to not join his mother on the train. He believes that if he had gone with her, she would have come home. And he never stopped wondering how or why she disappeared. In 1910, decades later, Edwin's daughter made it her mission. So we've got 2 daughters here trying to find out what has happened to their ancestors. Well, I guess that one was her father. This one is her grandmother, to find the truth. And in 1983, she began investigating the mystery that had shadowed her family for generations. She was determined to uncover what had become of her grandmother that she never met. From her research, she learned in 1891, a young woman by the name of Corianton, then just 20, had married Carl Olson, a 30-year-old railroad coachman. Okay, so we've got a 20-year-old and a 30-year-old in 1891. By most accounts, their marriage was not a good one. Genevieve later said that her grandfather was not good to her grandmother and that he may have been abusive, though she didn't have any documentation to show it. In those days, divorce was rare, frowned upon, completely shunned from society. When a marriage failed, it was common that one person would just disappear or walk away. For years, the family believed that maybe that's what the grandmother had done, left an unhappy marriage behind. But as she uncovered more details, that theory no longer fit, according to this lady. She began to believe that her grandmother had not simply left, but she had been, quote unquote, taken, and that something terrible had happened to her. And in 1985, her and her husband owned a small gift shop in South Sucket City, Nebraska. I guarantee you I did not say that right. On a September afternoon, she had an encounter with one of Ben's favorite people.
Oh,
And this
that's
would change the
I
course
forgot
of
about
her search. I
this.
was wondering when you were going to pipe
Oh
in.
my gosh. Are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah. So, mind you, this lady has got this tragic family history, has believed that likely her grandmother left an abusive marriage. Her dad dealt with that guilt his entire life. And then in 1985, a woman walks into her shop and disrupts that entire narrative. So, this woman walks up and introduces herself as Susan Stickley.
Right now.
Stickley. And said that she mentioned just kind of casually, subtly, dropped a little hint that she was a psychic.
You know,
And then,
you know what it is about psychics? We're going to pause right here.
okay.
Here's the thing about psychics. You know the joke that went around for a long time
Tell me the joke.
about how do you know someone's in CrossFit?
Because
Because they'll tell you
they will
that
tell you
they'll
immediately.
tell you that they do.
Yeah.
How do you know someone's a psychic? Because they just go around and tell everybody they're
Everyone about it.
psychics.
Yeah. So, then she also casually said, out of the blue, just randomly, you want to ask me about your grandmother, don't you?
She's probably said this to at least 4 people.
I'm sure she has.
And she finally found someone to hook, line, and sinker.
Well, I think that she had a little bit more knowledge, and I'll get into that later. So, of course, this woman is stunned and admits, yes, she did. Suzanne asked if she had anything that belonged to her grandmother, and Genevieve handed her over the couple's marriage license and a wedding photo. She turned them over, closed her eyes, and drifted off into a trance, and then told Genevieve not to speak to her while she was communicating with the ghosts from the beyond.
That's what I tell everyone.
And then she began to
speak.
describe what she was seeing. She said, Oh, I can see your grandmother. I can see her boarding a train with her children crying as she waves goodbye. And oh no, I can also see her being beaten. And then, oh no, oh, I can feel that Carl, your grandfather, he knew what happened to her. The reading sent chills through Genevieve. She couldn't believe that the stranger knew such intimate details, things that no one outside of her family had ever been told. So, what does she do? Now, mind you, I will say this red flag warning, and number 1 to me. This woman was wearing sunglasses inside through the reenactment.
You know how I feel about people that wear
Yes.
sunglasses inside.
Immediate red flag. Immediately no. Immediately leave. If you've got sunglasses inside the building, I don't need to talk to you. I know everything I know about you.
You know what? Let me just say this.
You know who wears sunglasses inside? P. Diddy. There you go. That tells you everything you need to know.
Do you think, I'm asking a legitimate,
Okay.
because she tells that this psychic all of a sudden knew crazy intimate details.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
First off, I'd like you to recognize my dramatic.
It was great. It was wonderful.
Okay.
I appreciated your
go.
acting. Do you think that maybe the details weren't as specific? She gave a little bit more broad details.
Over time.
And then when we tell the story, because we want people to believe, because we believe
fill in the gaps. Yep.
We believe that what she said is true, that you feel that you have to maybe over accentuate what she might have said so
you don't feel like you've been taken advantage of
or just
made a fool of.
Because here's the thing, she says it, you're like, absolutely, she is speaking and she's saying things, and then you retell it and you might add a little bit of color to it because you want them to understand that what she said is true because you fully believe that what she said
100%. I think that's human nature.
I'm not saying it happened here because I can't make I technically shouldn't make assumptions.
I'm saying
but
that wouldn't surprise me. That is human nature, right? I think we do that all the time. We try,
no,
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I mean, we can all look back and we've all done that
yeah,
in some way or another.
even whether knowingly or not.
I mean, I've never spoken to a psychic because I would never do that in my life. But I have
I've
told
also
stories.
never spoken to a psychic either. Interesting. Okay. Well,
But you're about to.
oh, well,
That's
later.
the future.
That's
for you.
that was Ben being
That's
a
me
psychic,
being a
right?
psychic. Someday,
When we're at Disney, someone is going to come up to me and tell me that they're a psychic and that my podcast is about to become
now that's too specific.
famous. That's too specific. Okay. So she goes to the psychic's office.
Of course she does.
Mhm.
Of course she does.
So yeah, this lady's making, I'm going to guess, we never know this for sure, but I'm going to guess there was some money exchange involved. Maybe not, but I'm just going to throw
Yeah,
it
she's
out
just
there.
a psychic out of the goodness of her heart and never
Yeah.
takes $1.
So the psychic tells her you will receive a packet of old letters that will reveal all the things that you need to know about your grandmother and her disappearance.
What's the chances she sent them herself?
That's ding, 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 ding. Okay. Put a pin in that comment. Okay. So she also tells her that her grandmother was buried in an unmarked grave. Super helpful. Thank you.
Hey, this dead person that you don't know where she went,
Yeah.
she's buried out there in
She's
the
buried
ether.
somewhere. I can tell you that. Yeah.
Ooh, really nailed that one.
Okay. And incredibly, according to our storyteller, the predictions all seem to come true. Weeks later, Genevieve receives a package of old letters and photographs from her grandmother's niece and nephews. Many were from the 1800s, and letters mentioned the trouble in the marriage and confirmed that she had last been heard from around 1910, the year that she vanished. Encouraged by the discovery, Genevieve wrote a letter about her search to a Midwestern newspaper. Her story was printed, and soon another unexpected clue arrived. A man named Bill Carpenter from Fort Scott, Kansas, reached out after reading the article and told Genevieve about an unmarked grave near a small town in Ellis, Missouri, a grave that, according to local legends, belonged to a woman that was found murdered near the railroad tracks decades earlier. For generations, the grave had been tended by railroad workers and always adorned with flowers every Memorial Day. When Bill mentioned this grave near the tracks, Genevieve was overcome with another one of Susan's predictions had obviously come true. At the turn of the century, Ellis was a small farming town, according to legend as well. A well-dressed woman stepped off the train one afternoon and was seen arguing with a man near the platform. Witnesses said it looked like a lover's quarrel. The two walked east down the tracks, arguing. The man was later seen returning alone, boarded a train, and disappeared. 3 days later, a woman's body was found alongside the tracks. She had been beaten and shot through the heart. No one could identify her. Her name, her home, and her story were all a mystery. That is a true story.
I'm
Yes.
not debating that story.
I know. I'm just letting people know because we've got a psychic involved, and that is a documented
grave
of the unmarked grave.
that railroad people take care of.
Yes, that is a true historical event, and that exists. I looked it up. It is still there to this day,
and they still take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
Of course they do.
The railroad workers that found her buried her in a nearby field, marking her resting place with nothing but a few small, like, stones, and they've tended to it ever since. So Genevieve and her husband later visit the grave, and her husband snaps a picture of her standing beside it, and a strange light appeared next to her photo, a faint, glowing shape. Genevieve believed that it is the apparition of the unknown woman. She returned later again and took another look at the photo, and once more the same light. Took another photo, and once more the light appeared next to her. Now, the psychic looked at the photo and said that the figure was her grandmother. Her grandmother's spirit, still tied to the place where her body resides. Genevieve said that in her heart, she believed that she had finally found her grandmother's grave. Full stop. Not everyone agrees with this account. Historian Pat and his incredible beard are on the television to tell us he would like us to be aware that local newspapers had written about the grave as early as 1988. 22 years.
1988?
1888. Thank you, Turner, for pointing that out. 22 years before this woman's disappearance. And one article described the victim as a girl less than 20 years old. And her grandmother was 38 when she disappeared. So the question is, if it is true, then one question remains. Who was the man seen arguing with her at the train station? Genevieve discovered on the same time that her grandmother disappeared. Carl had also gone away for a while, and she didn't want to believe that her grandfather was involved, but with everything she had uncovered, she wasn't sure what to think anymore. Today, she still is continuing to search for the truth, and she says she needs answers not only for herself, but her father, who has spent his whole life wondering what happened to his mother. She believes that there's someone out there who knows what happened to her grandmother, and she is hoping that one day she will find out. And that is where Unsolved Mysteries leaves us.
All right. Update.
Update. In 1988, the article states that the woman found by the railroad tracks could possibly be named Lula King. However, that was only one source, and another source refuted the claim. Based on newspaper articles from the time, it is theoretically impossible that the woman found in Ellis was the grandmother, unless there was another unidentified woman killed around the same time of her disappearance. That just isn't possible. I also found several people and on Facebook and other sort of like web sleuths that have suggested that the famous, I'm going to butcher this Canadian name, Saskatoon, Woman in the Well, which is another famous unsolved mystery, might be a match, but no test has ever been done. There are lots of blogs and internet posts about this case, but they seem to just kind of rehash a bunch of existing information. No evidence or trace of her grandmother has ever been found or confirmed. And that's your update. I did a bunch of research. That grave is still there. It is still attended.
I think it's sad that she doesn't know what happened to her.
Absolutely.
It's just too bad that a psychic tried
Yes,
to take advantage of
100%.
it.
Yes. So there you go.
But unfortunately, like back in that time, people could disappear very easily.
It actually, the amount of people who went missing during that time frame, or not even missing, Jane Doe's, unidentified people that passed away,
Gotta be wild.
it was quite high. And
Well, and people could disappear. They could just up and leave too. I'm not saying that's what she did. I have no
it
idea.
is possible, though. I think, isn't it
anything's
possible that her son was finally old enough, her oldest son, to kind of take care of the other kids, and she left an abusive marriage?
Yeah, I mean, sure, anything's
that
possible.
is possible.
We have no idea, but I'm just saying, like, people, it was easy. You could literally go 300 miles or whatever.
Yeah.
Disappeared. No one knew.
Mm-hmm.
No one knew who you were.
100%.
You could leave everything behind.
Yeah.
Or something terrible happened and no one's ever going to, there was no way to identify people.
Yeah, maybe she really did have an appointment that day and something happened and she got sick and, passed away and they had no way to identify her. I don't know, but we are 3 for 3 on tonight's episode. Sorry, guys. All right. Well, that is our recap of season 3, episode 14 of Unsolved Mysteries. As always, you may exit stage right if you don't want to hang around for our chitty chat time, but now is the time that I get to ask Ben a silly question. Benjamin, what is your favorite ride at Disneyland and why?
Uh, simple.
Okay.
Well, it was Tower of Terror.
I
It's
know that was very sad for you.
not Tower of Terror
It's
anymore.
Guardians of the
Still is
Galaxies. It's still
at Disney
cool.
World.
That is actually the biggest upside of going to Disney World
Yeah,
is
it's
that you
still
can
Tower.
ride Tower of Terror.
But they've done a good job with the Guardians of the
Yeah.
Galaxy.
It's just not Tower of Terror.
So, yeah, it was that one and Splash Mountain. But Splash Mountain is not. I haven't been on that one since they've remodeled it, so I have no idea. I'm sure it's still good.
Tiana's.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
I'm
haven't
sure it's
gotten to
still
ride it
very
yet.
good.
Yeah, I've
For-
heard it's good.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, Tower of Terror is my favorite. And why? It's just good, dude. It drops you. Like it just is a sudden drop.
It is such a cool ride.
It is the best ride. It's just fun,
Yeah.
hands down. All right, what's yours?
I have got two. So I remember Tower of Terror is my favorite, or not Tower of Terror, excuse me, Splash Mountain. But that is nostalgia because I remember to this day, the first time I went to Disneyland, I think I was under 5 years old and I was wearing a black and white checkered skirt with a matching shirt and it had like little cherries on it. And my brother, hello, Douglas, is a scaredy pants, mixed scaredy pants when it came to thrill rides. Not his thing when he was a kid. And he still doesn't do haunted houses. Let's just put that out there. But
Dude, just throwing your brother under the bus like that.
so my dad had to take my brother. I have to ask him where they went. They went and did something else that did not involve Splash Mountain. But I remember standing on the bridge, staring at the waterfall drop and being just like, yes, this is like everything I've ever wanted in life. And then getting to ride it. So the fact that, a simple like 25 years later, because I'm only 30 years old, that I
30? Okay. That's cute.
no, but like, okay, 35 years later, I get to like go experience that with my family and my kids is awesome.
I think a lot of Disneyland is nostalgic.
100%.
I think as you get older, it's just nostalgic.
Yeah. And then Space Mountain. Because I remember riding that for the first time too. And literally with the fact that it's pitch black and the stars, it felt so incredibly immersive in feeling like you were just floating in outer space with that, or that you were like experiencing that. So I still remember to this day riding for the first time. In fact, I was really bummed because for a couple of years they changed it to like, weren't they doing something with like Aerosmith or something for a while?
No, Star Wars.
Star Wars.
So
I think they did something with Aeros. Is it Aerosmith? I think they did something for a little while with them too.
you're thinking of.
I know what I'm thinking of, but I think that I'm going to have to look it up. But I think it changed a few times. But then they changed it to Star Wars. And I was like, nobody wants it to be Star Wars.
Some of us liked it.
No.
But everyone wants the old because they like the nostalgia.
It's just really cool. It's an indoor roller coaster and it's pitch black.
Yeah.
You cannot see where you're going.
Yeah, it's fun.
And when you're going up the tunnel and it like starts, you're not spinning, but the lights like ding, 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 and it feels like you're like boom, 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 boom. It's the coolest feeling in the world.
The coolest.
I love going to Disneyland. I love getting to like, we've been taking our kids because we live close enough to drive there in an afternoon or I guess in a day. And taking young kids to Disneyland seems like the biggest throwaway of money. But as a parent, getting to see the magic through their eyes and to get to experience those things with them it's life-changing.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So yeah, All right, guys. Well, we'll report back next week on our amazing adventures as we look for hidden Mickeys and make ourselves sick with eating the most amount of Cheerios that we can possibly consume in 3 days. And then we will be back again to tell you about another episode of
Unsolved Mysteries.
Bye.